right now. Whole lot chit chat, can't do that, settle down, pipe down. On the kitchen floor in the church sauce, young Mike Moonwalk. Always been a star in the sky, you did not get tuned out. Hey, yeah, I'm flashy, yeah, yeah. Not ratchet, hey, yeah. Quick flippy, yeah, yeah. Big mattress, hey, yeah. Don't ask me, hey, yeah. We taxi, hey, yeah. New address, hey, yeah. Can't move backwards. Hold on, yeah, 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 you know me. Late night, all night, don't need no sleep. Hey, hold on, okay now, don't know, don't speak.
All right, so we're on for another episode of One of Them Ones. My name is Greg. I am your host. I am one of the ones that was with Jesus at the table, and he said that my betrayer will touch my hand as he dipped his hand in and go for the bread. I was one of the ones already looking to see who was going to do it so I could be messy and accuse people because I know it wasn't me. I know it wasn't going to be me. I'm one of them ones. I'm also honored because on this night, on One of Them Ones, we're going to be having a testimony, right? And the testimony is going to be from someone that I have personally seen on both sides of the coin, right? I seen him when he was thugging it with Barabbas, and then I seen him after he, was a changed man because of the saving of Barabbas and the goodness of Jesus, and because of just how good our Lord and Savior is. So I've seen both sides of the coin, and he's seen both sides of mine. So either one of us can ever act high or mighty. So what we're going to be doing is a testimony, and ultimately what we'll be doing is ironing, sharpening iron today, right? So with that being said, before we jump into it, I need you to hit the like button one time for me, please. Hit the share button one time for me, please. Hit the subscribe button one time for me, please. And leave a comment. And if you're on here and you don't do any of those things, and let's say you forgot to do any of those things, but this is like the third or fourth time you forgot to do it, low key what you're doing is nothing, and we don't tolerate that here, right? Everyone has to do something, bro, ma'am. Everybody does, la-di-da-di, everybody, right? So if you can do anything, just do one of those things, but you can't do nothing. Because doing nothing is like what? Being dead. So stay locked in. We're about to get ready. All right, so we're back on with One of Them Ones where I have the guest for this evening, the one here to do the testimony, or what I like to call it. He's here to face the final boss. Here to face the final boss. So now with that being said, and another good thing is he's a new believer, right? So he doesn't know any of the churchy terms that drives me crazy. Like he doesn't know any of that stuff. Fresh new believer. So he's gonna what he's gonna low key do is he's coming from a raw spiritual place. So he's about to make the whole spot hot for all of us because he's about to just be speaking on things that we don't talk about in church. So with that being said, Cody, the floor is now yours, sir.
My homie over here, Greg. So I'm one of them ones. My name's Cody. I used to be a sinner. I'm gonna give my story, my testimony today about who I was, what led me to Christ, and what my life has evolved to after submitting my will, my life, and my power over to God. And I had a lot of thoughts, running through my head last night, and I prayed about it, and if I wanted to give a watered down testimony, but those are my fears sinking in. But I used to, I guess let me get into it.
So before you do that, then,
yeah.
And again, there's no pressure.
Yeah.
None at all.
I've never done this before.
I want you to speak from a place of, we locked in right now.
Yeah.
So we're speaking to locked in. So the first thing I would like to know is who you were before Christ. I want to know the BC. Who were you before Christ? Yeah, who were you before Christ?
Straight dog. Oh man. Me. I mean, you want me to start from the jump? You know what I mean? Like from childhood now, or let's get this guideline going on real quick.
Between you and God.
Between me and God. All right. Well, before Christ, honestly, I never had that influence coming into my life, like growing up wise. I didn't grow up in the church. I didn't. It was I guess like a forbidden subject in my household. I was raised by my grandparents. My parents had me at a very young age, and they took the responsibility in taking me in. And
so again, this is one of them ones, y'all. Real quick chance to interject and give a break. we're about to get into his testimony where he's going to share a series of deaths, right? So therefore, if there's anyone who this may affect, or if anyone who's kind of brand new to what testimonies are, this is a great time and opportunity for me to encourage you to see it through to the end. The testimonies are help, and God uses it to help lead others who may be going through something similar or gone out of it. But also, I want to also take this time, if this is something that affects you, because he's going to be talking about 8 different deaths that he experienced in 8 years. So also, it's a great opportunity to encourage. This is why some of the benefits of being a part of a church is having pastoral leadership. So that way you have somebody to guide you. Pastors are like primary care physicians, right? So although a lot of times I'll be talking to people who are out of the church, I'm also in support of the church, though, in this aspect that you do need someone to consistently be there for you, be there with you. So if you're someone who may be affected by this testimony in a both negative or positive way, I would encourage you to seek help as well. So now let's get back into it.
Yeah, it started with my grandfather. He passed away on my birthday, and I took that really hard. There's a man that raised me and made me feel like I was being punished at the time because I also wasn't living right. I felt like that was a punishment towards me, and looking back on it now, knowing the things I know now, like it's not about me. So, but that was my first loss, and then the next one coming up to that was my mother. She in Austin, she was murdered, and somebody set her. It's hard for me to talk about. Somebody set her camper trailer. They pinned her in it with their dogs in it and set it on fire, and took her life. And that what did it say? I want to say the camel that broke the straw, or the straw that broke the camel's back. For me, and I spiraled down. I hated the world. I hated myself. I hated what I had become. I hated the things I was doing. But even though I knew what there, I was lost in the sauce, as you would say. I felt like I deserved everything that was coming my way, and then right before I got into the rehab I was talking about, I believe it was 2 weeks before. He's my uncle, but he's a brother to me. Like I said, I was raised by my grandparents, so this is a man that coached my little league baseball teams, taught me how to shave, brought me through life. And whenever I felt like I didn't have like a big brother, but also a dad all at the same time, because my grandparents, I mean, they raised a lot of kids. Like I think I was number 9 or 8, and their whole life, and also that made me feel like I was a burden. But he 2 weeks before I got into rehab, he took his own life in Temple.
Wow.
And oh man, I just say that and I get chills stop thinking about it. But and he was what are they called? He was also an organ donor. So whenever he did it, they rushed him straight to Scott and White in Temple and kept him alive, organ wise. And I was so in my addiction. I was homeless at the time. I was living in my car. I was in a horrible relationship. We were both of us had a ruler, and it was the drug we were doing. And that was our idol. That was one of my idols throughout this whole that was my idol right there. That was my God, was what I was doing, the drugs and the alcohol. But like I said, 2 weeks before I went in, he did that, and he's the one that came to me and told me I needed to get in the rehab. And, you know, I didn't want to listen to him. And, you know, I was ashamed of myself. And it hurts to even think about, because, like, I try not to make things about myself anymore. But he, the night he did it, he called everybody but me, you know, and sent them text messages. And it like, you know, like, I feel guilt about it. I feel like maybe I could have been the one to talk him off the ledge. You know what I mean? But I was fighting my own struggle at the time. And yeah, so I had to go see him in the hospital, and he had all these machines. I don't even know what each machine did. And there was everybody from my family came in, and, you know, I just remember breaking down and crying in the bathroom. You know, I punching something. I don't remember what I punched. You know, I felt like my hand hurt. Maybe I wouldn't hurt. I don't know. Tried to redirect the pain, but obviously it just made my hand hurt, and I hurt even more. So that wasn't, you know, I did that thing I do. It's called stinking thinking. But yeah. And then I had to sit and fester in that for 2 weeks, and, you know, and, like, deep down, like, you know, because I had already got that phone call before, and I never got to even share that with him either.
What do you mean with that phone call before?
By the lady from the rehab that knew my mom. And, you know, and that's another thing. Whenever I say it was a God moment with that happening, is my mom had passed, you know.
Yeah.
So, like, and then it's like, is she helping me from beyond the grave? You know, like they say, you have that meeting with God at the end of your time. And, you know, I don't know if maybe it's a delusion I like to sit in, but sometimes I like to sit and think that maybe during that meeting, she said, "Will you help my son?" You know, because, you know, like, I used to be angry with her a lot. And I think the last encounter I even had with her was through my addiction, and I was throwing things at her. I was telling her she wasn't my mom. Told her I hated her. And things I wish I could take back, but I can't. And so I like to think that, because that's what God did. He helped me. He put me didn't put me in jail, and state jail at that, you know. And he got me to a Christian based rehab. It's called Christian Farms. And yeah, so that's why I say that was a God moment. But back to, like, with my uncle, I didn't get to tell him anything, you know what I mean? Like, and at that time, you know, like, I know now in this moment, like, you have to do things for yourself. But, you know, at that time, I didn't care about myself enough to do anything for myself. And then after all this happening, I didn't want to live. That's why I said I was knocking on death's door. But he had no authority over me. And I realize that now. But he didn't have authority over me. So the only thing that could take me out was myself. I needed to learn to get out of my own way. And with everything happening, that took patience. And I got to that rehab, and I did the things that I needed to do. You know, I sat in my groups. I put my heart out, and they showed me other programs. And, you know, at that point in time, you think that's what would have been it, but it wasn't. I wasn't ready to kill my own ego, kill my own pride, to let somebody else help me relieve me of that pain, because it was my pain. I wanted that pain. I didn't want to let it go. You know what I mean? Like, that's all I had left. That's it. from these people I loved and grew up with, and just my and then I lived that shameful life, and that's the last thing they remember about me, and that hurt too. And I had to look at myself in the mirror a lot, and I didn't even want to do it. You know, like I said, I said I was homeless, and that was me not caring about myself. There would be weeks I didn't care if I took a shower, care if I brushed my teeth. I was going in the gas stations, take a little bird bath every once in a while.
Mm.
I was pillaging dumpsters, eating food. You know what I mean? And a lot of times when I was digging through people's trash, I got more excited when I found drugs in there than I did food. You know what I mean? And I was living a sad, shameful, scum of the earth life. That's how I described it. And like I said, I went to rehab, and then all during this rehab, I was in there. My grandmother also was going through cancer. She had skin cancer, and she didn't know if she was going to live either. And one of the first stories that was ever read to me whenever I was there was Job. Yeah. And I was just like, man, you think that would have spoke to me, but it didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If there was anybody at that moment in time I could relate to, it was somebody that got everything ripped away. The only difference between me and him was I didn't do everything the right way. He was, God-fearing, and he didn't never abandon him. But in my stinking thinking, I thought I was already abandoned. And then I got out of rehab. I came back to here, my hometown, because I didn't there was a fear. I didn't think my grandmother was gonna make it through her cancer, and believe it or not, this was the second time it had happened. She had already beat it once, and it came back more aggressive than the first time. And she had to do radiation, and I wasn't even strong-willed enough to be there with her during that too, and that hurts me a lot too. And she's a very strong woman, and I love her. She's pulled me. She's the only person that did not that didn't abandon me through that all. Everybody else was telling them not to take any chances on me. You know what I mean? And just give up on me, but she didn't do it. And if anybody that I would care about, on this earth, that would be proud of me, is her. And I know she is. But doing what I was doing when I got out of rehab for the past, I'd say from 2018 to 2021, 22, that was 4 years of just pure putting poison in my body. My mind wasn't right. It took me so long to get my mind back. And that is one thing I thank God for, is my mind just came back. And but yeah, I got out, and everything was just, it seemed like I was losing my mind when I got out. I had and I was on the brink. I was on the brink. I didn't want to live. I wanted to die. And I was crying like I am now in my car. The first time I want to say I ever reached out to God and asked for his help. Asked him, what do I do with all this pain? What do you want me to do with it? And he spoke to me that night. He told me, Cody, your pain is your power. And I did not know what that meant at the time. What do you mean? My power. I hate it. I don't want. I'm sorry, man. It's
I'm laughing and crying with you because I know Phil, we're right there with you. Keep going, man. You're good.
I don't want it.
We're right there with you. I know.
And chills came up my spine when he told me that. All around my hairs on my arm were standing up. And and when you go around telling people that God's speaking to you, they don't, if you're not in the right place, they might think different of you. And I was losing my mind. That's what everybody thought. And, but I was, all at the same time, I thought people were after me. I was thinking all these different things, like, with my mom being killed and, like just living in a bunch of other delusions, thinking people were after me and stuff like that. I got back on the phone and I called that lady up at Christian Farms, and I told her, I was like, I'm not ready for this. I can't be out here. I didn't know. I can't even explain the feelings that I was feeling, because it felt like everything that I was doing was wrong. Like, and maybe, so, and I was on probation at the time too. So I had to kind of get permission to go back there, because, you're on probation and things like that. You go in there saying you want to go back to rehab, they're automatically going to think that you're doing the same things you were doing before. But, I peed in a cup and, showed them I wasn't. I just told them, and I explained my whole situation to it. And a part of me, like, I went back and I felt like maybe I missed something. You know what I mean? Maybe there's something I missed in this place that was going to lead me to what I needed, even though I already had this conversation with God. This insane thinking. I was thinking, who am I? I'm putting him on the waiting list. You know what I mean? But he's speaking to me, and maybe I thought I was imagining things or something. I don't know. But so I went back there, and I sat in there like I did before, and I was like, it's just the same things. Like, it's just, I just put myself in a reoccurring cycle. And, they just told me everything again that I needed to do. And I think I would have listened after that, but I didn't. Because I'm prideful. I'm not weak. You know what I mean? I'm a man. You know what I mean? I mean, being vulnerable is being weak. Things like that. And I mean, I just sit here and I gotta go, because I sit back and I think about it, and I'm like, wow, you fool. You know what I mean? And so the next, so I got out, and I still didn't do anything they told me to do. I didn't get in the programs I needed to get to. I thought that I could carry the world on my shoulders and be strong enough.
So, and if you don't mind, can you repeat that again? So you said you didn't do what they told you to do?
Yeah, I didn't do what they told me to do.
So basically you did what?
I
basically did nothing, right?
did nothing, yeah.
And doing nothing is close to.
Yeah, I did nothing.
It's never good.
Don't look at me over here trying to justify my wrongs already. Yep, hold on. No, I did the worldly guidelines. You know what I mean? I got a job. Mm-hmm. I started getting money in the bank. You know what I mean? Luckily, at this time, I was in probation, so I kind of had a babysitter through it all. So I was like, out of fear, I didn't want to mess up because I didn't want to go to jail. You know what I mean? Like, that's like a fear thing. But I got a job, and really, I got a job because that was like a test run for me, and I didn't know. I I just wouldn't know if I could socialize in the world. You know what I mean?
Big, yeah.
And then and that first year that I got my job, my friend, then the deaths started coming again. Because right now I'm only at 3. I said 8.
Today.
You know what I mean? And and in the first year, my best friend, like, you know, I'm like, I'm doing good. I'm sober. I'm like, I want to bring this to him because I did the things I did with him. Like, you know, even before I got clean, and I was like, I have this fire. Like, I want to show him, you know, that I want to help him through his struggle. And like, I just remember that day. I had you know, this is my best friend from all the way from, we grew up together, like, rode the bus together from all the way from like elementary to played baseball, graduated together, had highs and lows together, did dirt together. You know what I mean? Like, you know, my road dog. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And it, you know, I got a message from a friend, and they were like, "I'm so sorry, Cody." You know, I'm like, "Sorry? What are you talking about?" They were like, "Oh, that's not for me to tell you. You'll hear it eventually." And I was just like, you know, now I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, I've got this message before, and like, it was weird. That morning I woke up, you know, the feeling you get, your heart will flutter about something.
Yeah.
Because you have soul ties with people, I believe. You know, things
connected to people. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is somebody I knew my whole life, and something was off about that whole day. And it's, you know, and then this was weighing heavy on my mind the whole time too. Like that little sin, I was like, I got to get right before I can help anybody else get right. That was my mindset. And you know, the first person I thought about was him. And as soon as I got that message, and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I already knew. I said, "Damn," because I knew what he was doing. You know what I mean? I helped supply it sometimes. I knew what he was doing. And I got home, and my grandma, she said, "You know, Cody, I need to sit down and talk to you for a second." And, you know, I could just see it on her face. And she's like, "I got a phone call, and your friend OD'd on fentanyl." And so I hate fentanyl. You know, I'm all for, you know, let's get the drug dealers and because I hate it. I've lost 2 people. And in the following year, oh man, and I feel for his mom too, because the following year his brother got out and he OD'd too within the year of him being out. And I can only imagine his pain he was going through, because, you know, he's been locked up, and, you know, he's probably like, you know, wanted to see his brother when he got out, and he wasn't there anymore, and he's been out of the, you know, as I say, the free world for years. You know what I mean? Like a decade maybe almost, and what does he have to come back to? You know what I mean? I can only like, and now like I just, and then so at that point, you know, the numbing effect started coming in, but I wasn't using or anything like that. I started drinking heavily, real heavy, like every day heavy, like it was a part of life. You know what I mean? And I kept trying to strive for greatness, but doing it with a bottle or a beer in my hand, or I try to manage it. You know what I mean? I say, okay, it started out, if I only drink on the weekend, I can let this slide. You know what I mean? But eventually, you know, it became an everyday habit. You know, the only thing I like it became an everyday habit to the point where like I would get up 3 in the morning for work, not get back till 8 o'clock at night, and then go sit at a bar stool that had my name on it, by the way, like metaphorically, but it was waiting for me to come.
Yeah.
But and then the sirens were singing because I'm going to tilt to kill, and you know what I mean. And all, it's just knowing I had to be up 4 hours later, you know what I mean, and some of those turned to all nighters, some of those, you know what I mean, and then so I'm knocking on death's door, you know what I mean, and I think a lot of it too, because like I was saying, I started getting numb, because even after his brother, there's a man that he's a family friend, and he I don't know, it's just out of the blue, his heart, something with his heart, and they tried to, I guess, put a stent in, and he lost his life, and I feel guilty about that, because he's the one that, whenever I needed to get bonded out and stuff like that, he co-signed for me, you know what I mean, and he helped me a lot, and then I never gave back to him, you know what I mean, didn't appreciate it enough, didn't spend time with him, things like that, thinking I had all the time in the world, but that's one thing we can't beat is time.
Hold on, yeah, you know me. Late night, all night, don't need no sleep. Hey, hold on.
Or you could be like the other ones and move out the way.
Whole life been right about right now. Whole lot chit chat, can't do that.